In the headlines, Prime Minister Skerrit shuts down the critics' claim that a Barbados company contracted to build 20 new homes here would not be in Dominica's best interest. A Grotto board member says he is resigning, citing a lack of transparency within the organization. And the Prime Minister says it would have served Dominica better if a resignation letter from the UWP's Joshua Francis had instead come from the party's political leader. I am Andrea V with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this. Thank you for staying with us. First up, Prime Minister Roosevelts Skerrit has dispelled as erroneous a number of statements in a letter criticizing government's decision to contract a Barbadian firm to construct 20 homes in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. Julian Morris has that story.
It is being alleged by critics of the government that the contract is for the importation of 1,000 prefabricated homes and deprives Dominicans an opportunity for employment. Critics also allege that the contract would deprive Dominicans of the opportunity to supply raw materials for the construction of those homes. They are also alleging that the Physical Planning Division has not approved the construction of these homes. The Prime Minister addressed these allegations during a press briefing on Tuesday.
The contract is for the initial importation of 20 homes and not 1,000 homes. These homes will be in Dominica very shortly, and from start to finish will have taken just 2 months to construct, install, and complete. The homes are not prefabricated homes. They are precast, pre-stressed concrete homes built specifically to meet the seismic and wind requirements of our region and will offer a safe and attractive home to Dominicans, with future benefits which will be outlined at the appropriate time, but that have been critiqued and gone over with the Ministry of Housing and the technical personnel. 2, upon the arrival of these homes in Dominica, there will be an immediate benefit to the economy through port fees, hauler fees, crane and equipment rentals, and persons working on the various aspects of the construction. This contract will offer Dominicans a unique opportunity to gain skills across sectors such as electrical engineering, plumbing, welding, steel bending, specialty fabrication works, as well as machine operators and other similar skilled and unskilled labor. 6, this contract will allow us to train Dominicans to ensure that we have a skilled construction sector. And if we must face another hurricane or natural disaster, we can do so knowing we have a labor force which can help us to rebuild once more. 7, all materials which can be sourced locally from Dominica will be sourced in Dominica. This has been a key condition of the contract from the start, and all parties are committed to ensuring this goal. To this end, all aggregates, sand, and the stone that we produce here in Dominica, and which is some of the best in the world, will be used in the construction of these homes, which will be constructed here in Dominica.
The Prime Minister says, contrary to what the critics say, 50 Dominicans have already been employed for the construction of the initial 20 homes. He says the contractor also intends on establishing a concrete plant here to meet the country's urgent and long-term housing needs. The Prime Minister says only 5 foreign skilled workers are expected to be employed at the plant, while all the other employees will be Dominicans.
This contract will offer Dominicans a unique opportunity to gain skills across sectors such as electrical engineering, plumbing, welding, steel bending, specialty fabrication works, as well as machine operators and other similar skilled and unskilled labor. 6, this contract will allow us to train Dominicans to ensure that we have a skilled construction sector. And if we must face another hurricane or natural disaster, we can do so knowing we have a labor force which can help us to rebuild once more. 7, all materials which can be sourced locally from Dominica will be sourced in Dominica. This has been a key condition of the contract from the start, and all parties are committed to ensuring this goal. To this end, all aggregates, sand, and the stone that we produce here in Dominica, and which is some of the best in the world, will be used in the construction of these homes, which will be constructed here in Dominica.
Mr. Skerritt says the homes which will be constructed at the local plant will be built according to a master plan which will take into account the locations where the homes are needed, the infrastructure required, and in accordance with the seismic and wind safety requirements for the region. 1,000 homes will be constructed in total to meet the urgent needs of Dominicans, but these homes will be built in Dominica by Dominicans using local raw materials and supplies.
In the process of building these homes in Dominica, we will be training a workforce and providing our young people not just with employment opportunities, but the skills needed to ensure we continue to recover from Hurricane Maria. And that should we face another hurricane, we have the collective skills and resources to rise once more. The company contracted to coordinate this work is a Caribbean company with a proven track record. There is no company in Dominica or the Eastern Caribbean with comparable capacity or experience in doing what we need done in the time frame that we need it done. 1,000 homes is but a small component of the housing rebuild effort that will need to be embarked upon in Dominica if we are to realize our goal of becoming the first climate resilient nation in the world. Therefore, private sector interests in Dominica, rather than criticizing the startup of this venture, should be actively pooling resources and acquiring the necessary technology and skill set to provide housing solutions of the strength and durability and within the time frame that is required.
Mr. Skerritt says government welcomes criticism, but it must be constructive and in the best interest of the citizens.
In other news, the impact of Hurricane Maria did not stop the Dominica Social Security from donating to charitable organizations from the administrative budget. 10 institutions benefited from Social Security's generosity on Tuesday in time for the Christmas.
This takes on special significance in this post-Maria era, when we expect to see declines in our contribution income given the number of job losses and, at the same time, the need for the country to return to some semblance of normalcy. It is our hope, therefore, that today's exercise will be an indication that the Dominican Social Security continues to deliver on its promise and that the recipient organizations can find the added impetus to persevere in the continued pursuit of their respective mandates.
The donations range in amounts from $1,000 to $5,000. 2 institutions on the West Coast were among the recipients.
Chances was affected by the hurricane. We actually lost our roof, and at present we're trying to get everything sorted. And one of the echoes that I hear ringing from the children every day when I go to work: Miss, so we're not having a Christmas this year. Miss, we're not having a Christmas this year. Miss, we're not having any shopping this year. And I have to give them a little check every now and then to get them to understand that it's not all about them. It has to be about someone else. But I'm happy today that we can receive a donation from the Social Security that will at least give them the little assurance that Maria did not rob Christmas totally from them, and they'll be able to have some fun times.
The Mao Senior Citizens Home, 75% of the roof uncovered. We were still able to shelter some of the residents in a room which they are secured. The kitchen is still secured. So we are still there, and we are under the tarpaulin too.
In other top stories, a founding member of the Grotto Holmes board has announced his pending resignation, citing a lack of information from his colleagues as one of his reasons. Iduna John Baptist has that story.
Parry Bellot is leaving the voluntary position after 30 years at a time when the institution is facing several challenges, including dealing with a structurally compromised building. A new challenge for Grotto's management is to address the displaced people who have moved into its new building at Belvidere since Hurricane Maria, a location which they have been preparing to relocate to. Bellot announced his resignation in an interview with Channel 5 News on Tuesday.
I will be sending in my official resignation from the Grotto at the end of the year, so that's next week. That's why I'm taking the liberty of clearing the air to a degree, because it has reached a stage, as I say, I wanted to stand firm and continue to help. There comes a time when I say, no, you cannot be part of the lack of information, the lack of transparency, not knowing how our accounts situation are, knowing what decisions have been taken by state government towards the Grotto. How can I, be functioning as a board member? Quite frankly, for close to 3 years now, we have not seen accounts of this organization. To me, that's unsatisfactory. Now we know there's spending going on, we know there's donations coming in.
Bellot's departure comes as the structure of the board is also incomplete. Ainsworth Irish, as president of the board, said he was taking a sabbatical in 2016 but has not returned to the post.
At the moment, our biggest challenge, we do not have a functioning board of directors. No, mostly because some members have resigned, some have traveled away and so on. We haven't had a quorum, so there have been little complications like that. There was, in a way, some turmoil with a lot of differences of opinion and so on, and there were some parties that were not getting on well and so on. And some people said, look, they can't be part of that kind of thing. And that was unfortunate, and that's where leadership comes in. And maybe leadership at the board level failed us. So we had people resigning. I mean, I can tell you straight. When I Tom about a year ago, I said, look, this is getting critical, we need to have a meeting. And I tried to convince 3 board members to come back to serve on the board. They told me, Mr. Bellot, we'll think about it. None of them ever called me back. Right now, there are 2 issues in a way. One, the moving to the new site, and of course, the continuing maintenance of the operations here.
His position is that there needs to be more direct involvement from the state in the home's operations.
We need some more support staff, we need more direct government involvement and so on. Both myself and the president separately communicated with the government on the need for government to be more involved. Again, what is the result? We get 2 subventions actually. We get towards administration and we also get towards the operating costs and even to actually provide care for certain people. Last Christmas, a good year ago, we got the substantial contribution along with other charity organizations from the government to almost finalize what had to be done at the Grotto so that we could move.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says it would have been in Dominica's best interest if a letter announcing plans to resign from politics had come from the leader of the political party instead of MP for the Roosevelts South constituency.
Joshua Francis has announced his plan to resign as a political candidate, calling his time in politics very turbulent. Francis has, however, informed the United Workers' Party in his resignation letter that he will continue his term as MP for Roosevelts South.
As a rule, neither the government nor the political party that I have the honor to lead embroils itself in the workings and machinations of the opposition United Workers' Party. We merely take note of the announcement by member for Roosevelts South. But what I would say is, in passing, however, is that from purely a national perspective, in terms of what's best for Dominica, it is a tad bit unfortunate that such a letter was sent to the current political leader of that party and did not actually emanate from the individual who leads that party, the UWP. That, we believe, would have been a good thing for all of Dominica. We in the party, the Labour Party, the government, we don't get involved in the workings of the opposition party. Our position is that it would have been in the best interest of the country had this letter come from the leader of the party rather than Mr. Francis.
From what I have been told, from what I know, is that the letter was sent to the president of the party. Is there something wrong with the letter going to the president?
No. Our position is that it would have been in the best interest of the country had it been Mr. Linton, the one saying that he's bowing out of politics. The country would be better served that way.
Francis is quoted as saying he had to cure some issues, informing the party that it would be in its best interest to identify and work with a potential candidate for the next general election.
And one of the communities declared a special disaster area following Tropical Storm Erica 2 years ago is advocating for better equipped emergency shelters for future use. Good Hope is among 3 villages on the East Coast deemed special disaster areas since the passage of Tropical Storm Erica in 2015. During a recent visit to the area, Channel 5 News met with chairman of the Good Hope Village Council, Ashil Grove, who says that despite the community's special disaster status, not enough preparation was done on the part of the villagers to prepare for Hurricane Maria.
Quite honest with you, I'm going to tell you no. The reason for that is Good Hope, I don't know, we never really prepare for disaster, although we are prone to disaster. And where you down there, which is the resource center, official hurricane shelter, a lot of people think that is not the best place to go. But that's where we had to go. That area there had a school. A landslide came down, covered that school, covered the health center, killed 1 child. So it really, Good Hope is really not a sport that people should really believe in. I'll tell you that straight. It might not be a good thing to say on media, but I just think that we need to be relocated from Good Hope. So I just hope that the government is probably looking into relocation for Good Hope at some point. I know right now their hands full, but I think that Good Hope should be one of the areas they should really consider relocation.
You're mentioning relocation as the way forward for the community, but we know that might take some time. Now, ahead of next year's hurricane season, what sort of preparations or changes would you like to see in the community to prepare for next year's hurricane season?
Okay, to be quite honest with you, I would like to see that the resource center, which is the official hurricane shelter, is fully equipped with the basic stuff like blankets, beds, mattresses, lamps, and more importantly, I would think that government should make available solar lights on every shelter, because after hurricane, the solar lights, if they are not damaged, you have lights. You have right now at the current shelter right now, we have no electricity. We have a small generator there, and thanks to Samaritan Spurs for making the generator available, at least persons can charge their phones. And it's not even big enough to give electricity. So we have no electricity at the shelter. So solar lights for the shelters, make sure that the shelters are equipped with at least a generator, and the doors, at least help make sure the shelters are equipped so that when persons come there, they're safe.
It has been approximately 3 months since Hurricane Maria hit the island, and some villagers of Good Hope are still being sheltered at the resource center. One such resident is Victoria Bonney.
I was right here in the shelter, and it was a very terrible experience for me. Well, although it wasn't my first time, I experienced Hurricane David, but Maria was the worst. And I can tell you it was terrible. Yeah, galvanized and the wind like whistling and blowing from there. Then you hear it like lashing at the back there. And we got, let me see, broken windows, broken doors, and we had so much, there was flooded with water, so we spent the whole night not sleeping.
You mentioned you spent the night at the shelter. What actually happened to your house?
Well, my house, the roof was gone, and windows, doors, everything, my furniture, everything got destroyed.
It's almost 3 months since the storm hits and you're still staying at the resource center. Do you have any plans to fix your house?
Yeah, I have plans to fix the house, but my son tried something, like he put up some galvanized and tarpaulins, but I'm still getting a lot of water, especially when it rains, and I have arthritis, so I can't really go there right now, but I'm planning to. I would not like to stay all the time, but right now I can afford like a roof and windows and doors, so that's why I'm still here.
Shelter manager for the Good Hope Resource Center, Pierre Labasier, says he rode out the hurricane at his home, and when he emerged the next morning, the community was a sight to behold.
But in the morning when I came back around here, about 7 o'clock, I see, when I stood up there and look at the village, I see it was just something else, man. It was just something, like the sister said, as if, well, is when a bomb drop, man, like the Hiroshima thing now, you know. And that is how I see Good Hope. There was no roof, you know. The wooden houses, all of them crashed down. Some concrete houses, you know, I think that would maybe resist the wind. No, that did not happen.
Now, as a shelter manager and even having to mingle with so many of the villagers, what would you say the mindset was like after Maria?
Well, I believe at that time, you know, is during those times you'll find people really coming together a bit, and, you know, everybody talking and say, well, you know, they saying, well, why that happened, and look is this, look is that, you know. Everybody see themselves in the same position now. There was nobody high and nobody low, you know, so people try to put themselves a little more together. But what I observe after a while, you know, I don't know if it's the pressure, you know, that start building up on the people when they think of what they had and what you know, what gone, you know, as a result of the wind. I observe some kind of harsh movement start to develop around the people. But now I believe people understand what we have gone through and they're trying to do what they have to do.
Cyril Winston is a stalwart in the community and helped to build the Good Hope Resource Center over 15 years ago. He was among those who found shelter from the storm in the community's official emergency shelter.
Like I said, it was the most horrifying experience of my life. Although I witnessed Hurricane David, but could not be compared to Maria. And on that night there, well, as you know, when full force wind having out 200 miles, everything starts, you know, just going off east and west being destroyed. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's traumatic. People that were run for their lives. People start panicking, everything destroyed, and it's like life is complete. To me, a complete end of everything Dominican is made of my Maria.
So what happened to your house?
Well, I completely gone, like I tell you, completely destroyed. Totally and completely.
So you've been staying at the center for almost 3 months now. What are you going to do in terms of rebuilding a house?
Well, like I say, what can I do? When a complete end of everything you are is made. Economy, your life, you have no means of living. You do not know where to turn. Even if I would like to do something, I mean, a little shock for me to go on iron, because I am a man who loves being self-reliant. But there was no ways, no means, and nothing I can do. If I could get maybe a little shack, I could build a house. I mean, going to survive, keep on living, go on my own, continue to do whatever I can do to survive. But for the time, there is nothing I can do.
Well, what do you see as the way forward for the community of Good Hope?
Well, the way forward, I think the first thing is the people to come together and understand that the situation we are facing right now, we have to put join forces and put all that we have to get to work and to build our community and ourselves.
According to the chairman, Ashil Grove, out of the 156 houses in Good Hope, 93 were completely destroyed. To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Roosevelts' carriage shuts down claims that a Barbados company contracted to build 20 new homes here would not be in Dominica's best interest. A Grotto board member says he is resigning, citing a lack of transparency within the organization. And the Prime Minister says it would have served Dominica better if a resignation letter from UWP's Joshua Francis had instead come from the party's political leader. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.